Cody Ziegler and Mako Medina take Heroes Reborn to London, where Baron Zemo and his deadly team of spies and mercenaries assault the Squadron Supreme's new base, prompting Nighthawk and Blur to respond to try and save their friends trapped inside. Cody Ziegler introduces us to the world of Baron Zemo and his team this issue in a rather long-winded and slow-paced way. To say this issue was wordy is an understatement, since many of the pages of the book were filled with dialogue boxes upon dialogue boxes. Now usually I'm pretty okay with a lot of dialogue, sometimes you can get some really great stuff from the characters that way, but here it just felt like they were repeating the same things over and over again. There was one joke about Zemo going off on monologues, but almost every character ends up doing so the joke kinda doesn't make any sense if every character does it. The book also boils down to villains fighting heroes, so how much can a bunch of characters say about heroes fighting villains before they end up repeating themselves over and over? Like the other Heroes Reborn tie-ins, however, I did enjoy exploring more of these characters and locations in this alternate reality. I just wish for once the characters would stop talking, stop monologuing, and just let the action tell the story. Mako Medina did some really wonderful artwork for the issue, and when he was allowed to get into the action, the book was great and had a nice flow to it in its action, with all the cool new takes on all of the characters. But as I said before, the pages are just covered in dialogue bubbles, which in turn stops the action from happening so the characters can monologue more about things, and I feel that hampers what the artist is doing. Siege Society issue 1, while running with a simple premise of one hero team battling another villain team, ended up over-explaining everything that was happening, in turn making the issue rather tedious to read, which is a shame since it was really well drawn and the action was quite fun. I'm going to give this issue a 5 out of 10. Siege Society issue 1 heads to London, where two shady delivery men stop at a checkpoint on the London Bridge. Guards glad to see more humans after spending so much time around with the security mechs. The woman clicks her pen, which activates a bomb in the back of the van. The bomb lets out an EMP pulse, taking out the mechs as Black Widow and Hawkeye reveal themselves, and Fire Ant says that he heard the European architecture is notoriously siege-proof. He stops the guard from hitting an alarm, kicking the man in the face as he says that hiding a secret base under a tourist trap like a bridge is inspired. Baron Zemo, Sabretooth, Silver Witch, and Soviet agent arrive through a portal. Told by Zemo how much they destroyed the glory of the Thousand-Year Reich, they now lay siege to the new home of American filth and their European sympathizers. He tells the Siege Society to do what must be done, letting Soviet agent and Sabretooth kill a bunch of the guards. The men attack, clearing out the landing zone as Sabretooth notes how he barely broke a sweat, wanting more. Zemo calms him as Fire Ant reports back with some crazy readings from under them, knowing while he's only the shrink and infiltrate guy and not the big brain guy, he knows the readings indicate there is a secret base under them. Zemo can't believe the hubris of the country, thinking that Hydra would never find them here. Hawkeye blames Scott for setting Zemo off on another one of his passionate rants, as the villain says he never again will fall to such indignity as he did during World War II. He has Wanda execute a containment field, having the sorceress put a magical barrier around them as Fire Ant gives Zemo a hollow map of the base thanks to his ants. At the bottom of the Thames, Tom Thumb is shocked to find the Society warping into the base. He is immediately taken down by Soviet agent S.H.I.E.L.D. as Black Widow notes how the room stinks of magic as she spots a magical airlock to the river. Suddenly, they are attacked by a giant squid through the airlock thanks to the amphibian, who calls for Tom to gather the others while he holds the team here. It's too late though, as Hawkeye hits him with a shock arrow once everyone is clear of him. Zemo unsheathes his sword, knowing that he is mistaken since it appears Amphibian only seeks the glory of being the first to die, applauding the Fishman's efforts. He cuts off the hero's head as Tom Thumb escapes, prompting Hawkeye and Fire Ant to go and find him. Zemo tells Sabretooth they need to flush out Blue Eagle and whatever magic user created the airlock, wanting the villain to sow much confusion in the enemy's ranks. In France, Nighthawk meets with the Madam President of the country, quickly saying his goodbyes as he heads to his secret lair, where he finds an alert waiting for him. Suiting up, Nighthawk Nighthawk contacts Blur, asking him of the situation at the bridge, and Blur already knows there's a power outage close to their headquarters, knowing that's definitely not a coincidence. Stanley continues babbling on as Nighthawk tells him to get his head in the game, since these people in the base are counting on them. Blur thinks that it's a false alarm, but Nighthawk knows that it's not, and he'll be there in 20 minutes, which is a long time for Blur, who wants to run ahead. In the base, Soviet Agent and Sabretooth can't find anyone, calling them dishonorable, when suddenly they are attacked by Blue Eagle, who tells the villains that the agent perverts the word honorable, and it's a concept far too big for men so small like them to understand. Victor gloats over Amphibian's death as Blue Eagle flies into a rage, smashing down Soviet Agent as Sabretooth attacks, but he is shot in the head by the Golden Archer, who says that the villains have wandered into the wolves' den and will find only death there. Victor pulls the arrow out of his head like nothing happens, so the archer hits him again, allowing Blue Eagle to tackle the villain down. Hawkeye arrives, hoping Golden Archer likes his arrow he made for him. Both archers attack, firing trick arrow after trick arrow at each other, with Clint calling the archer a hack for a quadruple arrow he had made, knowing that he can do better than that. Golden Archer, however, fires off a ricochet arrow, pinning Hawkeye to the ground and forcing him to call Scott for help. Fire Ant, however, is a little busy, having cornered Tom Thumb with his ants, blasting the crazy man with his fire. Tom, however, grabs Scott, saying that he's been eyeing the man's suit since he got into the base, knowing it's what is letting him shrink and grow, so he'll let the man in on a secret. He has that same power, only he's the real deal. Tom grows in size, squeezing the life out of Fire Ant as Hawkeye comes to his aid, freeing his friend, who wants to go with the Carolina Classic. Hawkeye shoots Fire Ant at Golden Archer and Tom, having the man grow big and step on the archer as the arrow hits Tom in the face, knocking him out. Black Widow, meanwhile, hacks into Nighthawk's systems, finding them to be quite robust, but her virus will work. She wants to know who's backing Zemo because the virus was really well constructed, but Zemo merely goes off on another one of his monologues, saying that they are many but their goals are singular, and they will drive the squadron out of Europe and crush them. Widow knows that despite Witch's magic, Blur and Nighthawk will soon find them, making Zemo wonder if that's fear he hears in her voice. Natasha says it's not, it's self-preservation as the virus finishes uploading, and Zemo now owns their systems and he can arm the self-destruct if he wants, or he can reveal the base to everyone. Natasha wants to leave, but Zemo thinks that she's gotten soft since sacrifices were a sure thing to make the plan work. Widow knows that was his plan, not hers, and her services have been rendered. Zemo bids her a farewell, honoring their deal as the team meanwhile continue to fight Blue Eagle and the arriving Arcania. Eagle, however, easily defeats Sabretooth, saying the debt Victor owed him is paid. Silver Witch, meanwhile, freezes Arcana in water, telling her her magical rhymes won't save her. She blasts the sorcerer back, but Arcana throws some debris at Witch, telling her to stop this and let go of her pain, since it will just consume her and none of this will bring her brother back. But Silver Witch unleashes her magic on the hero, blasting not only Arcana, but Blue Eagle apart. Suddenly, Blur arrives, knocking the witch out as Nighthawk confronts Sabretooth, who in a fit of rage attacks the hero, having waited all night for this. Nighthawk easily knocks the mutant out of the way, planting a bomb on him, which, when detonated, sets the villain on fire. Silver Witch soon awakens to Blur wanting to take her for a run, so the hero races off with the witch giving chase, proclaiming he will not outrun her and one of her speed hexes will hit him. Blur knows that they have some bad blood between them in the past, but that's no reason to hold a grudge, knowing that he's lost people as well and can't imagine how she's adjusting to her new powers, since she would never know how life slowly was until she's running at breakneck speeds. Silver Witch says the hero doesn't know anything about her, and Blur thinks that she's right, since she's teaming with a literal Nazi. Silver Witch thinks that it's just a small price to pay for Blur to be killed by her, but Blur says that he's built for this speed thing, but she'll burn herself out like Pietro did. But Wanda knows that she doesn't have to outrun him, she just needs to get him far enough away so that Zemo can kill Nighthawk, and she's willing to lose the battle if it means killing him. Blur calls himself stupid for falling for that trick, wondering where the hell he is as he arrives in Poland, since he's got to get back to the others and help them quick. Zemo meanwhile is confronted by Nighthawk, telling the hero that he has come for what his ancestors could not do, and tonight the world will know Baron Zemo and Hydra brought order and purity back to the lands, and he'll start by taking the hero's head. The two men battle as Zemo continues monologuing, saying that he studied all of Nighthawk's moves. Nighthawk is impressed, wanting to go over the villain's plans since he's got some notes for him, stabbing the villain with his weapons as Zemo demands this end quickly so he can get to the final cleansing. He trips up Nighthawk, asking if he fears death, but the hero doesn't, saying that Zemo's confidence is unearned, and that he knew the scum would come knocking at the camp's door sooner or later. Black Widow meanwhile watches as Blur returns to the base, knowing him to be a complication as the speedster catches her. Luckily, she's protected by an electrical trap on her suit, which shocks her and Blur, knocking the speedster out. Natasha helps up Clint, saying that she trained 6 months for that shock and it still hurt. Clint wants to kill Blur, but Widow knows that if they do, they will never stop being hunted, but Blue Eagle and Tom Thumb on the other hand, they can kill. Zemo and Nighthawk continue the battle of bodies and wits atop the bridge, with Nighthawk getting the upper hand, breaking Zemo's arm as he continues to goad the Nazi villain, kicking him closer to the edge. Zemo proclaims that if one head is cut off, 2 more shall take its place, and Nighthawk tells the defeated villain that he'll be waiting for it, dumping him back onto the ground defeated. Blur is glad to see that Nighthawk is alive, since he was worried, but Nighthawk knows that he would win, and he knew all of this would happen, since it's why he built the base there in the middle of a river, since there'll be fewer casualties, but it doesn't make the casualties that they had any easier. He knows getting Zemo out of the shadows was the best way to stop their incursion, but Blur wonders what will happen when the next fascist picks up the sword. Nighthawk merely says they'll just keep cutting off the heads of Hydra, but Blur thinks that that's just how he justifies losing people, but Nighthawk doesn't answer. As the heroes regroup, Black Widow and Hawkeye escape the base with Blue Eagle's wings as the squadron bury their friends, returning to their respective cities to watch, wait and listen for the next threat to America.